Do you want to know how much time and effort you should really put into the GED Reading and Language Arts essay? Well, that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. Hi, this is Parker from Test Prep Champions, teaching you how to pass the GED fast. You can get started by clicking subscribe down below. So, how much time and effort should you put into the GED essay? Well, to answer this question, we really want to think about how much does the GED essay really matter for your score. Now, there are three different possible scenarios when you go in to take the GED Reading and Language Arts section. And before I get into that, though, let me first mention that if you're new to the GED studying and you're not sure how the Reading and Language Arts section works, what you need to know is that there's both a multiple choice portion, so you're going to have to answer multiple choice questions where you read passages and then you answer those questions, and there's also an essay here. So that's what I'm really talking about here, is that essay on the Reading and Language Arts section of the GED test. So how much does that really matter for your score? Like I said, there's three different possible scenarios. So the first scenario is that you go in, you do a really good job on the essay, and you do a really good job on the multiple choice section. You're clearly going to pass, so if that happens to you, then you're in good shape. You're going to definitely move on with your life. You're not going to have to retake. Now, the second scenario is that you do really well on the multiple choice portion, but you totally bomb the essay. So let's say that you bomb the essay. Maybe you fail it completely, you get a 0 on it, or you only get a point or 2 on the essay, but you do really well in the multiple choice section. What kind of score are you going to get? Are you going to pass? Well, most likely you are still going to pass. So as long as you do really well in the multiple choice portion, the essay, it can help your score, but you're probably still going to be able to pass just based off of your multiple choice section. So that's the second scenario. The third scenario is the opposite of the second. So remember, the second I said you do really well on the multiple choice portion and you bomb the essay. So this time, let's say you go in there and you completely bomb the multiple choice portion. You don't do well in it at all, but you do really well in the essay. Are you going to pass? And in most cases, unless you get really lucky, no. So if you do really well on the essay, but you bomb the multiple choice section, in most cases, unless you get lucky, you're probably not going to be able to pass, and you're probably going to have to retake. But if you do really well on the multiple choice, but you bomb the essay, there's still a good chance that you're going to pass. So what's the takeaway message here? What's the point? Well, the point here is that the GED Reading and Language Arts multiple choice questions are worth a much higher percentage of your score. So as far as passing the GED test goes, your performance on the multiple choice section is what is going to make or break you. The performance on the multiple choice section is what is ultimately probably going to determine whether or not you pass the essay. Or I'm sorry, whether you pass the GED test section for the Reading and Language Arts. Now, this being said, let's say that you do mediocre, you do decently on the multiple choice, but you don't do great. In that case, then your essay is going to bail you out. So if you're borderline with your multiple choice performance, then your essay score really does matter. Okay, so if you do decent, you do good on the multiple choice, but not necessarily great, and you do well on the essay, then you are going to pass. So I don't want to say that the essay doesn't matter, so don't get that wrong here, because the essay does matter, but it matters most if you do good on the multiple choice but not necessarily great, because in that case the essay is going to bail you out and the essay is going to get you over that line, and the essay is really going to make the difference whether you pass or fail if you do decently on the multiple choice but not necessarily great. Okay, so again, if you do amazing or you do really great on the multiple choice, the essay score is probably not even going to matter, because you're going to pass most likely based just off of that. Okay, but like I said, if you do decently on the multiple choice section, but maybe not well enough to pass, it's that essay score that is going to bump you over the edge and is going to help you pass. So the essay does matter, it is important, and it can be the tiebreaker, so to speak. It can be the difference maker if you don't do so well on the multiple choice. Okay, but if you completely bomb the multiple choice, even if you really do well on the essay, you may or you may not pass, but you're probably not going to pass. But if you do okay on the multiple choice but not great, as long as you do well on the essay, then you can still save your score. So the essay does matter, but really you want to spend the most of your time and most of your effort preparing for that multiple choice. And the best way to do that is really just a lot of practice. Take practice tests, get yourself a prep book, and just go through lots of practice exercises, and you'll start to get it. Your score will slowly improve with time. And so I don't want to say that the essay doesn't matter, though, because really, as far as your score goes, like I said, it can bump you over the edge. So it can matter if you do okay on the multiple choice. It can push you up to the point where you could pass. But if you don't do well on the multiple choice period, if you completely bomb the multiple choice, then really your score in the essay is probably not even going to matter. Okay, because you're probably going to fail. All right, but that being said, in real life though, learning how to write well and knowing how to write is really, really important, okay? Because writing is really a form of communicating. So writing is just so important for many, many reasons. So you should take your essay writing seriously because it's going to help you in life. So let's say that you get a job and you have to send emails to people at work and send emails to your boss, or you have to write a lot, or you have to write cover letters for a job or write for a resume. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why knowing how to write well or at least decently is really important, because if you're at work and you're writing emails to your boss or you're writing emails to other people, you don't want to have all these little grammar mistakes and just silly mistakes. It's just going to make you look unprofessional, right? It's not really going to be a good look for you. Okay, so knowing how to write well is important, but that being said, as far as passing the GED test goes, it's not the most important thing by a long shot. The most important thing is acing that multiple choice section, all right? And like I said, if you're borderline, if you do okay on the multiple choice but not necessarily great, then your essay score really does matter because it's going to bump you over the edge here. So what I recommend is definitely, if you want to do well on that essay without putting a whole lot of work into it, what you want to do is I have some videos on my channel that I'll recommend. I'll put links down below, so you'll want to check some of those out. But you definitely want to make sure you put some time into it. Learn how to structure your essay. So the best approach to write the essay is a 5-paragraph essay format where you have an introduction, you're going to have 3 body paragraphs, and you're going to have a conclusion. And so that's going to be 5 paragraphs each, and you can really do about 3 to 5 sentences per paragraph. Usually 4 or 5 is usually a good way to, that's a good minimum length, but you can have a 3-sentence paragraph if you really want to. And so you've got your introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. The way the essay is going to work is you're going to be given 2 different passages. They could be articles, they could be emails even, it doesn't matter, and you're not sure exactly what they're going to be, but the general theme is you'll have 2 different passages to read, and they're going to be written by authors that are each going to have a different viewpoint, and they're going to be making arguments for different viewpoints. Okay, so I'm sure you can think of a time where maybe you wanted to go to one restaurant and your friend or your spouse or boyfriend, girlfriend, sibling, whoever it is, wanted to go to a different restaurant, and you said, hey, today we should go to KFC, and that person said, you know what, instead let's go to Burger King, and you might have said, well, KFC has a better deal right now, and so you guys argued back and forth. So that's a very, very simplistic way of looking at it, but that's kind of what the general theme of the essay is. You're going to have 2 different authors that are writing about 2 different viewpoints, and you're going to have to pick which one you think uses the best evidence, which one you think is best supported by the evidence, and then you're going to write your essay about why that author's article or passage or whatever it happens to be is the most strongly supported by the evidence, and you're also going to want to explain why the other passage is weak or why the other person doesn't have as good of a case based off of the evidence. And I have other videos where I show you how to do this and I break down examples. That's really not the point in this video, but what I really want to emphasize for the essay is that you want to know the basics. You want to understand that 5-paragraph essay format, and you want to maybe look at some examples and practice writing at least 1 or 2 essays on your own and get some feedback from somebody who knows what they're doing. Maybe if you're in a GED test prep class or not, just talk to a friend or somebody who's passed, okay, and just try to get some feedback on your writing if you can. If not, then that's okay too. But you definitely want to just stick to the basics. Understand things like transition words, and because transition words are going to boost your score a lot. And if you don't know what I mean by transition words, then you'll definitely want to check out my other writing videos. But the point here is that, you know what, you don't have to stress about the essay, okay? Becoming a good writer takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of practice, but just understanding the basics, how to structure an essay well, and how to avoid basic grammar mistakes, like things like putting commas and punctuations, all that stuff, just simple stuff like that, and just how to use transition words and how to use quotes correctly. That kind of stuff is all really, really important to understand, but really, you know, if you just get that stuff, that basic stuff, understand that 5-paragraph essay structure, know that spelling doesn't count on the essay, spelling really doesn't matter that much, and you got to learn some basic grammar rules like commas and punctuations. Make sure that you don't put run-on sentences, that kind of thing. And other than that, just understand that that's the basic point here, is that you're going to be looking at 2 different articles, and you're going to be basically just picking which one you think the author's using better evidence in, and then you're going to write your whole entire essay about that one article and how that person is right, how they're using the best evidence, and how their position is best supported by the evidence. And you're also going to explain why the other person's position is the weaker position. And so that's all you have to know. That's the basics of the essay. So you want to understand that, and of course, to learn the nuances and to learn some ways that you can boost your score. Like I said, those transition words, I've got other videos on that, but the main idea here in this video is that don't sweat the essay, learn the basics, practice a little bit, but for the multiple choice, practice a lot. So the take-home message here is that if you ace the multiple choice, bomb the essay, then you're still probably going to pass. If you ace the essay, bomb the multiple choice, you're probably not going to pass unless you get really lucky. So you want to make sure that you put a little bit of time and effort into the essay, okay? Make sure that you don't neglect it, okay? Put some time and effort, put some work into it, but just put a lot more of your emphasis on your multiple choice because that's what's really going to make the difference. So this is Parker from Test Prep Champions. I hope this video was helpful. Good luck on your test prep.